I'm calling the Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a spirited attack from the Right Honourable. No, the Honourable Sir Roger Douglas. It's a sort of attack that we see from him after dinner. And it's interesting that we have the attacks on the Labour Party coming from the ACT Party and the pet former union official formerly known as Raymond. He was the member who came into the House for two reasons. One, his venerable surname, but more importantly on the back of Winston Peters. His first promise when he came in here was that he'd never go into government with the National Party. And what did he do? 1996, he was the swing vote that decided to go into the National Party. That's what that member's word is worth. He broke his word at the first opportunity, Mr. Speaker, and sir, his word wasn't worth much as a union official either. And then, Mr. Speaker, what happened when Winston Peters, who was the reason he was here, had some integrity, he walked away from the National Party and Raymond stayed with them because he was in their pocket then. He was taking their coin. He wouldn't resign his position as a minister. He stayed with Jenny Shipley because he had no principles then, like he had no principles when he was a union official and went round bottling his colleagues. That was that member, and sir, he has not changed. He has not changed in all of the years. And it's going to be interesting, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the amendments that Darian Fenton is moving to give members the right, to give people the right to have an extra holiday, in relation, Mr. Chairman, in relation to Easter and Anzac Day and their clash, because it's our view. I agree with a number of members that Anzac Day is a sacred day and you don't shift it. But I tell you what, there's nothing in my religion which says that Easter Monday is sacred. Nothing sacred about Easter Monday at all. And shifting that, in my opinion, is not a problem whatsoever. Well, there's some people who have no idea about religion are going to stand up for Easter Monday. Who over there is going to say that Easter Monday is a religious holiday? Yeah, David Bennett's going to say it. David Bennett, who hasn't had the courage to get on his hind legs and to debate this part, the chair of the Select Committee.
Order. The member can't. The member can't say the member doesn't have courage, and the member should know that.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member opposite, who chaired the Select Committee, cannot find the inclination to get on his hind legs and to make a contribution. I say something, and what they have, we hear him moaning over there. Oh, says Tohanare. What we have is the pet of the National Party, the tame member who they lead along, they let him out.
Point of order, Joe, could you?
Mr. Speaker, in amongst all of the personal abuse about members on this side, I find any mention of the bill distinctly lacking.
I'm the judge of that, and we have a minute 30 going, and I'll take that into consideration. Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Mr. Chairman, the point that I am making, as we debate this bill, part one, proof of illness, looking at that area, why does Tohanare want the West Auckland Health Centres overrun? Raymond, why does Raymond Hanare want the West Auckland Health Centres overrun by people who don't need certificates, getting those certificates? Sir, he doesn't care about the sick Maori kids. He doesn't care about the mothers who will get infected while they're pregnant. The pregnant mothers who are going to be infected by the people who are going to be forced into these centres. He's an uncaring member, but he is a pet. He is a pet which the Tories, they let him out every now and again. They let him off his leash, and he's allowed to have a go. And I want to say, what about Michael Woodhouse? No, he at least understands the legislation. Maybe he doesn't. Where does he come from? Dunedin South. No, he doesn't understand it at all. He doesn't understand the legislation, but he understands it better than Tohanare. He understands it better than Tohanari, and I want to know why Tohanari, instead of attacking unionists all the time, cannot have a decent look at these amendments, have a look at the amendments and tell us what's wrong with them, Mr Chairman. They are amendments which are very, very carefully focused. They're focused on trying to make this legislation work, trying to make it work in a way that is appropriate, Mr Chairman. Mr Chairman.
The Honourable
Mr Chairman, they are designed to make this legislation work in a way that is appropriate. But even then, I want to make it clear, and I'll make it clear to the Minister, while we're encouraging her to pick up a few of these and to support them, even if she does, we will be unable to support the legislation. Mr Chairman, there is, I think, fair to say, there's been quite a lot of work at the Select Committee trying to improve this legislation. I think it's fair to say that some of the changes that have been made have improved it, but some of them have made it worse. And I want to focus in particular on the deletion in 28A, Clause 10, the new 28A, which is put in 2A. Because as the bill was introduced, Mr Chairman, there was a requirement for requests made under subsection 1 to be informed and voluntary. So in making a request, an employee, a wage and salary earner, had to be informed and it had to be voluntary. So the implication of that was that it could not be under duress. And what has happened in the Select Committee, Mr Chairman, the National Party has used its jackboots to take out the requirement for the consent of workers, for it to be voluntary and to be informed, to be voluntary and to be informed. Now, one of the amendments, which is sitting on the table, one of several hundred amendments which are being developed to sit on the table, we'll put that back in. Because what we believe it very strongly, that if this, and I just want to say to Sir Roger Douglas, I enjoyed his speech, but does he believe? No, it's entertaining. It's sort of entertaining the way that horror movies are. Mr Chairman, does he believe that the consent should be informed and voluntary? Not a word, not a whisper, not a whimper. He was full of fire earlier on, but when some of the Act principles come back at him, the right to be informed and the right to make a voluntary decision, he shuts up. He will wander along into the lobbies with his old mates from National against Act principles, because every now and again there is a coincidence of view between the Labor Party and Act, and there are small parts of this legislation, some of the amendments, where we do have the same view. But does he have the ability to stand up and say, I'm going to act on principle here, I'm going to join the Maori Party and the Green Party and the Labor Party and do what I think is right? No, he doesn't. I reckon 20 years ago he would have. I reckon at that stage he was someone who had principles, someone who would, he's forgotten, he says. He's forgotten what it was like. Well, I think it's sad actually, because, while I used to disagree with him much more often than I agreed with him, what he used to know was that when Roger Douglas said something and he believed something, he would act in that way. Now, we know that he thinks that these requests should be voluntary. We know, because he told us that workers should have the right to request this, that it should be voluntary and it should be informed. He said that earlier. And I just want to know, Sir Roger, can we take you at your word? Can we take you at your word? Are you prepared to stand up for what you believe in, Sir Roger? Or are you just something, when the government says go in the lobby, you say how quickly? And that's the approach that the ACT Party appears to be taking now. They're taking the Rodney Hyde line. It's sort of like the Maori Party every now and again, less so, take the Tariana Turia line rather than the line of principle. But in this case, it appears to be happening all of the time with the National Party now. Rodney Hyde says, go the